Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Summer School. So, today's a very special episode because we actually already recorded this once, and it wasn't technical issues. It's the fact that this episode is on all things social media. And in America, we've had a lot of big changes. And me and Angela went and recorded this I don't know, 3 days ago. And if you're in America and listening, you know that a lot changed within the last weekend as of what is today, January 20th? January 20th? Um, yeah, a lot has changed. So whether you're listening to this like live action on Tuesday, the 21st, or you're listening to it after the fact, the last weekend in social media was wild. Instagram's releasing so many new features. TikTok went away and came back. The president has changed things in regards to that. And so we're going to chat about all of it and literally redo the whole episode for you guys because we wanted it to be up to date. So, in case you didn't know Angela, she is from Social Templates, a like template reel company. So, she's kind of in on all things social media. And since we last talked, I've actually started getting at least a little more up to date. I scrolled in bed last night, scrolling on the TikTok confusion because it literally made no sense. So, we're going to talk about it. We are not experts. We do not know everything, but we're going to talk about some of the updates coming, what we think might happen in 2025, and like a little bit about the TikTok going away and coming back. And is it going to actually go away? Is it going to get sold? Who the heck knows? We're just going to chat about our thoughts on it. So, Angela, hello. I know that was a long intro, but I feel like we need to tell everyone about the fact that we literally already recorded a whole hour-long episode. And why don't you go ahead and tell everyone a little bit about yourself that I haven't said? Where are you at? How do we know each other? What's going on? And how's your weekend been with all the chaos of social media?
Hi, thanks so much for having me back on. It's always so much fun to get to banter and chat with you back and forth. So, I actually was a wedding photographer for over a decade. I started out really young in 2009. I did wedding photography for about a decade, got really burnt out, had a early midlife crisis, shut down my business, my website, and moved to a different state and just took a year long sabbatical where I just was I don't know, having my eat, pray, love moment and found myself in the social media space. I started managing social media accounts for other photographers and creatives, and that's how I am in social media now. We launched Social Templates about 2 years ago when Reels kind of exploded all over social media and everybody wanted Reels. So that's what I do now. I have very intimate knowledge of the photo industry, the wedding industry. And so that kind of puts me in a unique position to be able to serve photographers in that way with creating templates. And how we met, what is it, last year? Is a year now? Um, or a little bit before that, maybe. I think we connected on social media really briefly. And then once we met in person, it was like instant connection. We just kind of hit it off at WPPI last year, which was kind of when social templates kind of had their big like debut, I would say. So we
Mm,
were just online before then, and I just strongly believed that like my business could exist solely on social media, solely online. Like I didn't need to do much. But once we started going to in person events and starting with WPPI, and then we did a bunch of events throughout the year, that kind of was what like really had our business take off is all the real human connections. And you being one of them, it was just so good to connect in person. And I will never, ever stop telling other photographers and businesses that, like, at the end of the day, no matter how much we think social media is important, those in person connections are always like just gold to actual success and connections and introductions and all the things. So that's kind of my long winded answer. And I'm so glad we were recording this because we did have a very solid episode that we recorded on Friday and we had a lot of speculations and ideas, but then no one really expected
yeah.
to see what happened actually happen. And as it was even happening, like even when, TikTok was banned and shut down in the United States, like everybody had their little TikTok funeral, said goodbyes. We knew that it was going to be dark for at least 36 hours. But then, literally the next morning, 15 hours later, it was back online. And no one even expected that. And I don't
Yeah.
know if you saw that on or not on TikTok where people were doing like confessions. That's
Mm,
the part that was, like, really trippy because a lot of creators, and I don't know if some were doing this. I think some were just doing this for fun, but others were for real, where they were like coming out and confessing, like, I actually never followed my workout routine. Like, I went on The Bachelor for the wrong reasons. I like all these confessions because they thought TikTok was going to die. And then it just reappeared 15 hours later. And then there was a lot of people that lost trust from their community. So that was kind of like a really weird curveball on top of everything.
Whoa. I actually am barely on TikTok. I never really go on it, and I still haven't been back on it since it's been alive. But I am intrigued in all of the like news and everything that's happening. So, I'm so excited to talk about it. But yeah.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, we can start with the obvious, right? It was shut down, it was banned. Um, and it came back online, excuse me, so quickly. And legally, we're still not sure how that was allowed. I guess like you were reading on
Yeah.
it as well. And it technically shouldn't have been able to function in the United States until this morning when Donald Trump took office. But somehow I don't know how they worked around that loophole.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know the legality of it, and maybe I tried to look at it into it so much, like, Georgia would not go to sleep last night. So if anyone doesn't know, I have a newborn. Her name's Georgia, and she would not go to sleep. And I literally was like, Angela, we got to push this podcast episode some. I need to sleep in. But I literally spent my time trying to like get her to sleep, and then like middle of the night shifts trying to research it because I'm like, it's such live news. Like, when else are you gonna research it? You know what I mean? So I was trying to research it last night, and from what I was reading, from what I was understanding, the law went into effect, but yet they were still able to come back online. So, but then I was reading that like placing the law into effect would be like on the hands of the next president. So I'm like, I guess maybe Trump was like, yeah, like even though it's in effect, like whatever, you're good, TikTok. I don't technically understand the legality around it. Like if it's illegal, wouldn't it be illegal until he's at least in office? Like he wasn't in office Sunday, and that's when it came back online. And so I'm like, it just makes no sense. And also, me and Jake were reflecting on the fact of like how comedic it is that a social platform, like a huge social platform, literally like put the words Trump in its uh like email basically to you when you open your app, and that was all you could see. Like no American company would be like, but Trump will save us. Like let's just I never talk about politics, but like no American company would be like, oh, but Trump will save us tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like that just wouldn't happen.
Oh, it was so strategic. It was
It's
such a
so funny.
stunt. Like the fact that they even had to go offline and go dark and make this announcement and almost like threaten people. Like, by the way, this is what's going to happen. And then um in the first message too, before they went dark, it did say that we are working with
With Trump.
President-elect Trump, yeah,
Yeah.
on resolving this. And then it like multiple times, and I was like, that has to be the Trump's doing and his team being like, all right, we'll negotiate something, but you have to make sure to give
That
us
you
credit.
Yes, like the ego. I wanna read it for people in case we have listeners that aren't American and maybe they haven't seen it. Maybe I go ahead and read what it said. So, as an American, on Saturday, when you went to click into your TikTok app, it literally wouldn't work. The only option it would give you is to close it or learn more, and it literally just says, "Sorry, TikTok isn't available right now. A law banning TikTok has been enacted in the US. Unfortunately, that means you can't use TikTok for now. But we are fortunate that President Trump has indicated that he will work with us on a solution to reinstate TikTok once he takes office. Please stay tuned." But yet he didn't take office until till today, right? Today's his inauguration. Came back Sunday, like morning, and then there was another message. I don't have that one screenshotted on Sunday. I don't know what that one said. But did it like thank him?
Yeah, well, it did, yeah, it said we're working. I don't have a screenshot of it either, but it was something along the lines like, it's, again, they used the word fortunately. We've been working with President-elect Trump, and he's like, I don't know, we're like in negotiation or something like that.
Oh wait,
Um,
here it is. I will read
oh,
it. Ready? Welcome back. Thanks for your patience and support. As a result of President Trump's efforts, TikTok is back in the United States with an exclamation mark. Like, tell me this is not actually hilarious. You can continue to share, and discover all the things you love on TikTok, and then you can click continue instead of closing the app. I just feel like That's just so funny. Like, even his besties, like, I'm sorry, like, even on X, I just don't think something like that would pop up. Like, there would not be, like, a pop-up about Trump, on, like, the fact that the app might go away. So it just so funny. But, what Angela and I discussed a little bit before this call was we don't know all the legality and all the laws and how this is, like, back online, but we do know that from what I read on the news, he was trying to file for a 90-day extension to allow more time for a sale to happen, basically. That the law is in effect, it just he's just trying to buy them time.
So, what the main concern is obviously the American citizens' privacy and data sharing and all of that. So, what Trump and his administration are saying is that they want United States to own at least 50% of that of TikTok, and that way they'll be able to control um, the privacy stuff and have control over the company. And for now, TikTok's not willing to sell. And I think what they're going to do in the next 90 days is try to sell it. We know that Perplexity AI gave them an offer and was trying to buy TikTok, and they declined it, insisting that they're not going to sell. And then I think we just talked about Kevin O'Leary was also someone that was
Yeah, Kevin and someone. It was, like, someone from Shark Tank and someone else that I don't remember the name of was
uh,
looking into it.
so far they've been turning down the sales because they want to keep owning TikTok. So it's going to be interesting how things unfold in the next few months.
Well, and if that law really is in effect, I feel like TikTok wouldn't make those posts if they weren't open to potentially making a sale now. You know what I mean?
Oh, and I'm sure there's so much happening behind the scenes
That
that they're
no one
not
knows.
telling people. Yeah, there's probably already a plan in action. We're just all waiting for, the stuff to come forward. But what's also crazy, if you didn't know, was that CapCut, the editing software, was also banned. And a lot of people were mid edits. They had drafts
Mm.
in there and they
Oh,
could
that
not
would suck.
access their CapCut, which is such a bummer because it's owned by the same company as TikTok. And so there's a lot of people that were just in distress from like, I'm not on TikTok. I make my videos in CapCut for other platforms. This is so frustrating. And then guess what gets announced on Sunday by the CEO
Oh,
of
yes.
Instagram? He announces that they're releasing Edits, a platform by Instagram that's going to be a video editing new platform that is a separate app, and but it's going to be like connected with Instagram, and it will feature trending audios, and it will have all these incredible editing capabilities, and you can create drafts and share them with a friend, which is where I think it'll be really beneficial for social templates, because I think it'll give us a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
more tools, because we've been just waiting for more tools to make better templates for our community. So I'm kind of excited to see what's gonna happen there, but also such a tricky move, right? CapCut gets banned, and then same day, the CEO of
Yes.
Instagram goes on and he's like, "By the way, go pre-order, like, sign up for this new app that's coming live." It's gonna, I believe they're gonna try to drop it end of February, but official launch date, I think, is March 13th is what they said.
It's like they knew all along that CapCut was gonna get banned for 6 hours and planned their launch, like, around it, you
Oh,
know?
yeah. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, how because you don't just say you're gonna launch a new app, like, spur of the moment, you know what I mean? Like, this had to have been a plan, and he was like, "Haha, CapCut's gone, let me announce this right now." You know what I mean?
As they see people freaking out about their
Yes.
drafts getting deleted and all the things. So that was also wild just to see how that's all unfolding. But it'll be good for Instagram users because now there's going to be an editing app that's going to be compatible. It'll hopefully, at least for people that are creating reels in Instagram, give them a lot more tools. And from what we see, the creators of Instagram keep promising to have better tools for creatives, which we're optimistic about. I don't support maybe the ethics of all the things going down, but I do want better tools. So I am kind of looking forward to seeing what that will look like. And I'm sure the first few months are going to be pretty buggy and glitchy, but hopefully it'll give us easier ways to create reels, to create content. Um, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities there with that.
Man, in our first podcast that we recorded, we actually talked a lot on, like, what we thought we would see change in social media in 2025 because we kind of thought TikTok might go away, but also we didn't know TikTok was going to go away. So I feel like some of the changes still will be the same. So I'd love to hit on some of those. But even just the fact of now that people have been not scared, but kind of scared by the fact that TikTok did technically go away. I think everyone in America was like, well, they've been trying to do this for like 4 years. They're never actually going to do it. They actually did it, kind of for like, overnight, but they actually did it. And I'm wondering, maybe it will scare some TikTok creators into prioritizing Instagram more as Instagram is, not going anywhere. And maybe it will still flood over some of the TikTok people. I know from the creators I've seen, they've been so stoked to be back on TikTok, like so stoked to not have to scroll reels. But at the end of the day, I do feel like my feed has changed in the last 30 hours. And maybe it was just because everyone on TikTok was posting on Instagram, but I do feel like my Instagram, like, Reels feed has seen a shift. I don't know if it'll shift back to normal or if it's gonna be just probably evolving for a while now that everyone's kinda been like, "Oh, shoot, TikTok's not forever," you know?
Well, I think people are also starting to think about the fact that no platform like is something that they can rely on and that their audience will be there, and people are thinking about diversifying their content, right? And having a strong audience built across different platforms. So whether or not a lot of the TikTok creators are going to come over here full time or not, I think people are still thinking about the fact that they have to diversify their content. And since I'm in marketing, and this is not related to social media, but I feel like I wanna talk about this for just a second, and then we can go back to social media. I think it's so important to have a strong email list that you
Mhm.
own, that no one can take from you, because those are the connections that if your account, let's say on Instagram or TikTok, gets banned, gets hacked, you have a way to still reach your community. One thing that I've shared with Summer privately was that with our email list, we actually make most of our sales through our email list. We know that anytime we send out an email blast, we are guaranteed sales because our email list is our most dedicated um, subscribers, supporters. And it is different, I guess, for photographers if you are focusing on booking new clients and connecting with new clients, but having the email list of even people that are interested in your work in some way, providing them some sort of free lead magnet that they can leave their email address for, like a guide of what to wear to their session, how to plan their session to make it stress free. Having like little tips that you can provide for people, and then if you do end up traveling to New York, for example, you could say, "Hey, we'll be in New York these dates. If you're interested in booking a session with us," obviously you can post that on social media. But sometimes when you send out an email, it just resonates differently. From my experience, again, I'm just sharing this from our experience. For some reason, with our email list, it's just a different relationship with our subscribers than it is on social media. We can post about like a sale on both, and we don't nearly get the same response on social media that we do with our email list. So, whether you're offering mini sessions or even to print Mother's Day cards, Mother's Day photos, there's so much
Mhm.
that you could do that would generate money and be just so good for your business. So, side tangent, social media, don't put all your eggs into the social media basket. I highly, highly encourage people to like really strategically think about their email list.
Well, and one thing that it also does is, like, with social media, you might post something and you are kind of a slave to whatever the algorithm wants to do, but when you share something in your email list, you know that it's gonna go to directly X amount of people, you know what I mean? And maybe they won't open it, but, most people do open their emails, but a lot of people do check their emails. Yeah, I think you have better odds than just hoping that the social media gods, like, actually show it to your following, you know what I mean? I've launched a lot of things when I've just had a bad day on socials, and then I don't wanna post about it, like, 4,000,000 times, but then it's like you either just keep sharing about it and annoy people that already saw it, or you just give up. Email lists, at least you're actually hitting your ideal people who want they're not gonna be subscribed if they don't trust and want to, like, spend money or partner with you, you know what I mean? Like, most of the time, they're subscribing from some sort of lead magnet, some sort of freebie that resonates with whatever your product is or whatever your service is, whether it's photography. So it's also just like basically you're sending this information to only qualified leads. Like, that's genius.
I 100% agree with you there. But sorry, I just totally went off the social media to talk about this. We should reel it
Yes.
back in.
Reeling it back in. Let's chat social media, what our predictions are for 2025, what changes we might think that we're gonna see, and who knows if we 100% agree with some of the things we said in the last one, but I think we might see a shift in content because I've seen a shift in my content in the 8 hours that TikTok was gone, because TikTok creators are so much different than Instagram creators, like, in my opinion. Even TikTok creators that are on Instagram, they don't share all their TikToks on Instagram because it's just, like, to me, a slightly different demographic, but I could see people sharing more TikTok-like content on Instagram through all of this. Like, I could definitely see, like, things becoming more casual, more storytelling, and Instagram released 3-minute videos this weekend as well. Was that this weekend? I
Yeah,
think it
that
was
was
this
this
weekend.
weekend, and it's also, like, in correlation with their new edits app that's gonna be also making 3-minute videos.
Are the 3-minute video is that feature already released, or was he just announcing that it's coming?
I think it's
I
released to
think it's
certain
released.
accounts, so they always roll out new features in, like, batches, and so some people are, I think, already starting to see it while others are still haven't gotten it. And correct me if this is not what you're seeing on your end, but from what I've seen, what we saw a lot of creators that are big on TikTok do on Instagram was they downloaded some of their best performing content and they shared it on Instagram as reels in carousel posts as kind of a nod to the nostalgia, to celebrate like their big wins on TikTok. And a lot of that brought back older trending audios. And I
Mm.
think we're going to see that linger for a little bit. And I think potentially it'll spark like a new wave of that like nostalgic content that we saw maybe in the early 2020s,
Oh,
maybe
no.
a little bit of
A little
I don't
cringe.
know. I think so, but, everyone was sharing that, no shame,
Yes.
and that's what I saw on my end. I don't know if that's what your algorithm was showing you,
Yeah.
but I don't know how much people will continue. I don't know if that was just, like, a wave. I don't know if people are gonna jump on that and create in that same type of content, but the prediction overall is that we will see a lot more nostalgic type content coming over to Instagram, whether it's people using like filters that look like vintage cameras, whether it's actually using vintage video cameras and then posting that type of content, which we've already seen a lot. And I think that movement is very much fueled by Gen Zers, where they're finding like old camcorders and the filters that are being released and created have kind of all had that nod towards just like a nostalgic vibes. I think that will linger for at least a little bit in 2025. People are
Yeah.
like really loving that type of content right now.
Even like you said, the first time we recorded, you mentioned comfort creators, and I don't think your opinion on that is probably changing
I
too
was just going to
much.
say that next, but
Yeah.
go ahead
No,
and
well, I liked that opinion that you had. She mentioned, and I literally saw someone post about how they love their comfort creators, like, this last weekend, and I was like, "Wow." Angela said it, and then I saw it, like, this is actually a thing. I had never heard that term. I don't know how I hadn't heard that. Maybe it's because 'cause I'm not on TikTok, but I hadn't heard that term, and then on Instagram, I saw someone posting like, "Oh, I love watching my, like, comfort creators, and I can't watch them now that TikTok's gone." And I was like, "Oh my god, it's the word that Angela was using."
So,
Um,
comfort creator is just a little bit like, I guess, of the breakdown of the definition. So, it's someone that kind of creates that cozy, warm, safe type of environment with their content that makes the viewer feel included. It's not like a hustle type of content. It's not salesy. It's not like the faceless type of content that we've seen a lot. So, it's the creators that will share like a morning routine with some sort of tips that how you can easily implement it into your life, or um, something that is like romanticizing their life and putting other people at ease, and the cottage core type of content that we've seen, so things that just make people feel cozy and happy. and
And
definitely not
probably
salesy.
I've seen there's, like, this group. Well, not all of them are moms, 2 of them are moms. There's these gals I watch, and I know that they're bigger on TikTok, but I follow them on Instagram, and I'm barely on TikTok. But even, like, their content is a little more TikToky in my opinion. I really like it. I'm like, "Oh, I feel like I'm their friend." Like, because, they're just posting, like, them all hanging out in their living room or, like, them going to the beach or, like, them, I don't know, literally, like, meeting the baby for the first time. Like, I don't know, just, like, random things. Like, it feels like you are literally their friend. I would say their comfort in the sense of, like, yeah, you just feel like you're, like, hanging out with them. Like, it's not that complicated, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like that style. I feel like that would be cool for that to hit Instagram some, and I feel like it's kind of on Instagram, but I do feel like that was slightly more of a TikTok type of content, you know?
Yeah. I feel like so much people on TikTok are I mean, on Instagram are trying to subconsciously always sell. Like, you can see them creating the content, and they're trying to connect with their audience, but it feels like their motive, you could still see it. They're
Mm,
just trying to sell to you, and I feel like once we start prioritizing community, and I feel like this has been, like, talked about year and year after year, um, but, like, actually caring about community, starting those conversations, connecting with people by literally making them feel like they're your friend and, sharing some of the real struggles without having those crying videos that are asking for attention on screen, you know? I feel like there's a couple people that cried on screen for real because they were having, like, a really hard time, and then people saw that, "Oh, this is what gets you views. Let's all jump on that." And that's, like, the crazy thing about social media, that something that could be genuine then really quickly becomes a trend. And
mm,
so I think with these comfort creators, you're so right. It's just like that feeling of being let into their life, like invited to see the different parts, and then making people feel safe and welcomed.
yeah. No, 100%. I've even been so since our last talk that no one has heard, LOL, I've
We'll
been
keep
trying to.
referencing it the whole
I
time.
know. Well, we're gonna bring up everything from it. So the comfort creators was one of them, and then we had to give, an update on the Trump TikTok fiasco. But when you mentioned the comfort creators, I'm just, like, taking notes from our talk. I literally implemented things over the weekend. I even tested trial reels. Are you proud?
Oh,
Literally, I
so
posted
proud.
one, so we can talk about that in a second too. I lived under a rock because I had just given birth, so when Angela and I first had our talk, I actually knew nothing about what was coming in social media for 2025. I feel decently educated and like I've actually tested things now, and it's only been 3 days. But, anyways, I don't even know where I was going with this. Oh, yeah. I was trying to brainstorm our own content because I'm trying to, like, get back online because I have not posted. I think until yesterday, I hadn't posted a reel since, like, early December, and it was, like, an ad that I had to post for a company. And so I was like, "Man, I need to, like, get back on here, like, exist." Like, I was like, that's crazy for a creator to just not post for, like, 2 months, you know? I would consider myself a creator, I guess. I hate using that word, but I would consider myself one in some capacity. So, yeah, I even took all of that into mind for our own planning because, with a baby, I got to plan my life. I can't just impulsively make content like I used to, or else I'll go a month without making
So,
any.
what do you think is gonna be kind of your comfort creator, rhythm, or, like, what are you
That's
gonna
that's what I was telling Jake. I was like, people on TikTok, they would just like literally record themselves talking like driving a car. And I'm like, why can't I do something like that? Like I could. Like I could, but it would take a while to build my brand to be that casual. Um, because it's not. But I wouldn't mind working towards it becoming more casual. Do you know what I mean? So, like, behind the scenes of shoots, but, like, actual behind the scenes, but that means I need to shoot. So we're, like, planning shoots for content, and I'm like, "Oh, I could do literally, like, get ready with me for the shoot, like, get ready with me for the networking event. Let's actually go to the networking event." Like, there could be so much more than just, like, behind the scenes in a photo, like, photo dumps. Like, that's basically, like, a good bit of
Absolutely.
my content now, but I'm like, if I plan to shoot, why didn't I do, like, source the clothes for me, like, come vintage shopping with me? Like, those are things, like, I could do that I just never did because, I don't know, you don't think I wasn't ever thinking far enough out, I think. It was just like, "Oh, I have a little bit of BTS, let's just post a reel," you know? So, yeah, we're trying to plan, like, different shoots and actually do, like, a little more vlog style, you know? It will
Oh, I'm
gradually get a
so
little more
excited to see
casual.
that. so excited to see that for you because I feel like you really are so good with social media, and even with what you were doing, it resonated. First of all, you were pretty consistent. I would say you were pretty consistent, and what you were sharing was more than other people were sharing, and it resonated, and people liked that. So I think if you just like take them even like a little bit
Further,
further, oh, it's
well, and
gonna
I
be so
think
good.
the reality is when it comes down to the algorithm is some of those videos are gonna do really bad, but at the end of the day, some of them will do really good, and I'll probably have more do bad than do as good as maybe the just, like, photo dumps would do in the past because those are really short, so they're easy for people to watch on repeat, but I would build most likely, in my opinion, a stronger community because it's more vulnerable, it's more real, it's just more real, you know what I mean? And so, I just have to be okay with the fact that, like, it's not about the numbers, like, this sounds also, it sounds fun if I can get myself to remember to record things. I think the hardest part is, like, building it into your routines, and that's what I did with social media that really helped me, but I haven't done it as much with my shoots as I wish I did. Like, you were telling me, "Oh, Summer, I think your community would like seeing behind the scenes," and I started scrolling through my phone, and I'm like, "Darn it, I would have, like, a clip, but it wouldn't actually be showing me really doing much. It'd just be, like, a very short clip that I'd put on my stories. It wasn't with the intention of being able to bring people into the shoot, you know?
Mhm, mhm.
So, yeah, we're planning, like, self-portrait summers coming back, like, that's how a lot of people actually found me was, like, through the beginning of Reels, I would do, like, weird self-portraits at least, like, once every couple months and record them and post about them on Reels and stuff, and I probably did take people along the process a lot, at least in my stories,
Mhm.
and that's how, like, a lot of people probably even listening, like, found me. It wasn't necessarily through weddings.
Well, and I
So
think one thing to important is don't dismiss stories, right? Now when people are focusing on reels, and not to say that you're doing that at all. I'm just saying like to the people that are listening here, don't dismiss stories at all. You have to
mhm.
do reels in combination with stories, and stories being, like a supplemental to your reels and getting to show more. And one thing that I shared with Summer earlier was there's actually like a hack. We talked about how to increase your story views. And this is something that I've tested a lot and it's been working. So until the algorithm does something crazy and it stops working, I recommend all you guys check this out. So if you want to increase stories, let your stories expire for 24 hours so that there's nothing there. And then you post a photo, not a video, and with text that people can read. So, not like a ton of text where it's overwhelming and people skip it, but enough for them to like hold down the photo, maybe take 3 seconds to read what it says. And then you should see your story views just like 5x, 10x just from that one little hack. And so I feel like for me, anytime like I have a big announcement that I want to do, either we're talking about a live or like a workshop or something, I save that because I'm like showing up in stories consistently. Like there's people that see my stories all the time, but if we have something important and we want to reach more people, um, use a photo, not a video. For some reason, photos and stories do better than videos, even though we're more inclined to post videos now. Photos just get more reach. So a photo, and it would also recommend that it includes you in the photo somehow, either your face or a faraway shot. It has to include you in it for the most part. Anytime we've tested something that doesn't include me in it, that is just like a generic type of photo or something that doesn't have me in it, it doesn't work the same way for some reason. So that's what we found. And I know Summer, you were talking about your views
Hmm.
increasing too. So
Oh,
share that.
yeah. Man, my story views are, like, up out the wazoo. I'm like, "Man, I need to launch something." I'm kidding. Kidding, everyone. But I swear in December, they were, like, a tenth worse than how they are now. And Angela shared with me that there's a lot of ads going out around it, and there's a lot of sales, so, like, sometimes social media performs worse, but I'm talking, like 100x worse, it was crazy, and now we are at story view numbers that I'm just like, "Whoa, this is, like" I don't know, I didn't know this many people could see my stories, like, is it getting pushed to something to people that don't even follow me? Like, this is crazy, and it's been consistent now for probably at least a week, and I did purposely not post a video yesterday because of what you told me. I purposely, instead of sharing my reel to my story, I tried posting a story telling people that I posted a reel that was just a photo instead of actually sharing the reel. So I wanted to just like test that and see what would happen. And people did like the story. So I'm like, oh, some people probably did go click over, like click to my profile and go watch the reel. I haven't posted reels in so long. My 2 reels I just posted are flopping, but that's fine because I literally haven't posted any in 2 months. That's just what's gonna happen when you take a break like me. But the story views are crazy, and mine's mostly personal content, like a photo of Georgia yesterday looking like a potato.
I was gonna say, you also do really good with sharing photos. You don't share that many, like, videos to your stories, and photos I feel like definitely do best, but I did wanna say that whenever you reshare a reel to your stories, you're hurting your overall stories reach. So, if you are wanting people to actually read your stories, if you're sharing something on your stories where you're hoping to start conversations and connect with people, don't reshare your reel to your stories. If you reshare your own reel to your own stories, it will sometimes give you a little bit more reel views. But if you also have like other things you're posting on your stories, it's also going to hurt that reach. So you kind of have to like weigh your stats and see what's most important to you. So if, for example, you're not planning to share anything else to your stories and you just want to share a reel, sure, that will give you a little bit extra views on your reel potentially. But I wouldn't recommend sharing reels if you're also trying to, chat with people and start conversations because for some reason when you reshare your own reel to your stories, the algorithm just knows and your views like plummet.
Yeah, I normally always share my own reels to my own stories, so when you said that, I tried not doing it yesterday, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm still waiting. This reel's still doing poorly, but we will keep waiting." Um, but we shall
Well,
see.
I mean, you can still reshare your reel to your stories and it'll probably help with real views, but then as long as there's nothing else on stories you want people to see.
That's so true. I'd rather keep the story engagement up and fun and engaging. I feel like my DMs and just like story views in general have been really fun recently. I feel like the fun of social media has been back for me, and that's really exciting. Updates on me and my social media. Obviously, for anyone listening, you probably know I just had a baby. I mean, if you've been listening this far, I've already mentioned it like twice. And towards the end of pregnancy, I don't think I was doing as well at being on socials. Like, yeah, it's cool to be pregnant, but also you're like swollen and you don't feel confident and you're not doing your makeup and all these things. A lot of people probably feel that way postpartum as well. Um, I feel like I'm blessed that since me and my husband are both full time because of this business, that we're able to share some of the tasks. He's able to do some of the night feedings. There's areas where I'm able to like go out and things that maybe other mothers aren't, maybe at that place this early after giving birth. But also blessed and cursed by the fact that my baby really loves sleeping outside and really loves being in her car seat and does not love sleeping at home, which turns into us going out almost every day. So me and Jake have actually gotten to work for probably 3 to 4 hours every day from, like, 1 to 5, 2 to 5, go to either a brewery or a coffee shop. So I've gotten ready for the day, I've done my makeup, which is all good for me. I'm like, if you're a mom listening to this and you're postpartum, do those things, even if you have to stay home with your baby, it's good for you mentally. And, so I've been sharing that on social media. I've been sharing, like, me wearing Georgia or, like, us out at coffee, like, or me having my first beer postpartum, and it's just been really fun. I feel like I've, like, I'm building community again. Like, I feel like I wasn't as engaged in, like, a honest and real way because I was just so tired and, like, pregnant towards the end of pregnancy, and now it's like, oh, I'm being really real, like, I'm able to just, like, post more about my everyday life. I'm actually doing things in my everyday life, so I'm actually able to share that with people, and it's just been really fun to, like, engage
Well,
with people
and I
again.
feel like people now have, like, an additional way to connect with you, right? Like, other moms that are having babies,
True.
maybe dealing with the same thing, or even, I commented on you looking so fresh after just having a baby, and have you not posted that, like, I wouldn't have had a reason to reach out, you know? And
Yeah.
so it's just, I guess, like, seeing you living your life and sharing that gives people an opportunity to reach out and connect in different ways that maybe they haven't been able to in the past.
So true. Yeah, one of the guys that reached out, I actually been following him since before I was a wedding photographer because he was a landscape photographer and I was into that. And we don't chat that often. We've maybe DM'd, like, once or twice, but he was like, "I can't wait for my wife to have a beer with me once she's done being pregnant." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so stoked for you." Like, it's just so fun. You never know who you're gonna connect to when you're just, like, open to being vulnerable online, which is really scary for a lot of people, which since we're talking about social media and stories help people grow a personal brand, personal branding is really important. Um, I would say my biggest tip with staying consistent on stories is to just implement, like, a piece of your actual life. Like, for me, going to the coffee shops or going to the breweries, like, that's a part of my life I am right now doing almost every day. So I decided, "Oh, I'm just gonna start sharing about this on social media," and I used to love fashion, so another thing I've started sharing about is, like, what I'm wearing because, finding your style postpartum can be kinda hard, like, nothing really fits. I go to the store and I'm like, "Wow, literally nothing fits me, this is rough," and it's just, like, everything's unproportional. So, like, it's hard to figure out what to wear, and so part of it has been, like, oh, I feel like I'm starting to find my style or trying to find my style, so that's been some of the things that I'm intentionally sharing about too, and now I've been able to talk to other people about that, like, multiple times, like, "Oh, well, where did you get this? Where'd you get that? Oh, I love that," or, like, "Where's this carrier from?" So it's kind of a way I'm able to be engaged, but also have something that's consistent.
And I
People
think
call these, like, pillars, but I don't love that word, but, like,
yeah,
content
no,
pillars, you
same.
know?
I don't like that word
So
either.
corny.
But I also feel like sometimes people get into this headspace where they feel like, well, I'm going to start posting quote unquote consistently. And now they feel like they have to share every aspect of their life.
No,
And
yeah.
that's absolutely not the case. Like, if you just had a baby and you're not comfortable with sharing your baby online, which
True.
I've shared all of my kids online, and that's just like a personal decision. But there's, people have different views on this. You don't have to share your child. You can
No.
still talk about, like, here's locations I'm scouting. You like pick a few different elements of your life that you can consistently keep showing up and sharing, and don't feel like now you have to share every aspect of your
Yeah.
life, because that's what overwhelms people, and then they just shut down, right?
Yeah,
Like, they're
don't
like
share anything that'll, like, hurt your mental health. Like, for me, it's fun to show people my coffee and to show people my outfits. I'm used to being in front of the camera, and I've done this for years. But for you, it might be sharing about your editing or sharing about something more about business in the beginning. It doesn't have to be, something, like, super vulnerable to you personally. Definitely do something that is comfortable for your own mental health journey. But for me, it's always just been easier to share things that I'm already doing, and so it's evolved throughout the years. So, at one point it was my dog and coffee shops, at one point it was, like, fashion and traveling, like, it's just kind of evolved based off of what stage of life I'm in, and I find it easiest to just post things that are part of my life because I don't have to think about posting, I can just share, like, what's actually going on, you know?
Yeah, and I think the other thing we talking about 2025 content and social media, the thing that we're going to see people focus a lot more in the coming year is personal branding. No matter whether you're a photographer or an influencer or creator, or like whatever you're doing, there's such a big emphasis on um having a personal brand, no matter what capacity that's going to look like. And it's something that I wish I would have started doing earlier, and I think we're going to focus on that for myself a lot more this year. But let's say, like, I was a photographer, and then it would have been so much easier for me to have this personal brand and, you know, switch into social media, which we kind of did that. But sometimes people end up separating their accounts, where they're like, here's my personal account, here's my photography account, here's this, here's that. And separating it actually has been showing to hurt people in the long run. Because when you are building a personal brand, you want to incorporate pieces of yourself into whatever you are doing in this season of life, whether you're actively booking weddings or moving into education or releasing products or, you know, going into a completely different creative field. That audience is now sold on you and your journey, and they will kind of follow you into whatever the next thing you're doing, and they evolve with you and they grow with you. And some people, will come and go, but as long as you're like investing into building your own personal brand, I think that's kind of the key right now, because even big companies, are choosing to partner with personal brands over like commercial companies. They're
Mhm.
choosing to partner with, you know, influencers and like personalities to promote their products.
And I'd
And
also say my friends that have personal Instagrams, Like, they put all of this content on their personal Instagrams that would have been so good on their professional one, but they accidentally prioritize their growing their personal one more, and it's like, that's not doing you, your family, your pocketbook, that's not doing you any service to just have this abyss of nothing that you're growing for no reason except for the fact that, like, you just want your friends to see it. I always tell people, I'm like, "Yeah, like, especially if you're a photographer first starting out and you have a personal Instagram with, say it has 2,000 followers, I don't know, like, just your friends, or maybe it has, like, 600, I'm sorry. I don't know how many friends people have. But whether it's, like, 600, 2,000, whatever it is, that's it's really hard to start from 0, and so those people being your friends, most likely, they will support you having that be your business Instagram, especially if it's personal and they still have updates about your personal life through it, you know what I mean? Like, the kid I nannied in college, his mom still follows me and was like, "Oh my god, you have a baby now," and her baby's, like, however old now, you know? And so, like, my personal one has always been my business one, and one, there's no way I would have prioritized well, like I was saying, friends who are posting, like, dope content on personal accounts, there's just no point. Um, and it just is so much easier to manage when you only have one, and I've had people tell me, "Well, won't I just annoy my friends and family with this business content?" And I'm like, "You know what? If they unfollow you, they weren't your friend to begin with. I'm sorry. If they unfollow you because you're posting, like, your art that you, like, so deeply believe in, okay, they don't need to be your friend."
Well, I also have seen creators, or I guess people that like the gurus that have spoken about this on social media, basically say this, that if you have a personal account and you all of a sudden want to take social media seriously and you want to start sharing your business on there, just make a post for your friends and family saying, "Hey, like I know you're used to seeing like my typical friendly content. I want to take social media seriously. If you want to mute me for a while, like I won't be offended. Please like
Yeah.
like being transparent about like, "Hey, I'm taking this seriously," versus like maybe not saying anything at all is gonna make people want to support you more. Like, "Oh, okay, like this is really important for her. She now like is making this like a full-time thing." Or the other thing that I did personally, because I struggled a lot with, being like overly critical about the content I was sharing. And especially like in the beginning when I had to take the chance on myself and hope that social templates is a success. And obviously, like 2 years later, talking about it now, it's like, oh, social templates, like we're doing great. But in the beginning, you didn't know, I didn't know if it was going to go anywhere. And it was maybe like hard to believe in myself at the moment when we were launching it. And so I actually went through and I muted 124 people. Like I remember that
Wow.
number. Like not muted, I blocked 124 people from seeing my content for probably 6 months. It was like people from high school, people from college, acquaintances, friends, family members, my mom's friends even, that like want to talk about me. And I was just like, you know what? It's just too much pressure to post something and then think about like, what are people going to say? And
Mm.
so for 6 months, I blocked everyone. I posted all the content that I felt was good for business. And then later, once it's a success, you like unblock everyone and now you're confident because you're like,
You're
well,
like,
I don't actually
"Surprise, I'm
don't care
back."
what you think because this is actually a really great thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
having boundaries, that's really good. That's great. Man, that's so funny, though. I've never blocked anyone. I don't think I've blocked anyone. I've never blocked anyone, I don't think. Maybe, like, a spam account or something, but not, like, anyone real. So that would, like, really scare me that I'd hurt their feelings if they found out somehow. Like, if they knew that they couldn't, like, say they were used to checking in on me and then all of a sudden they can't check in on me and they asked me why I blocked them, I think it'd make me really nervous.
I think I just had to be like really honest with myself at one point. Like, what is preventing me from really focusing and
Mm,
growing? Why does social media feel stressful? And why am I overthinking things? Like, I should just put things out there and see how the audience, like my potential customers, respond to this, right? If some of these
yeah,
people, they want to support you, but they're not going to be potential customers, I think just give yourself time to get
yeah,
comfortable. And that's just me being vulnerable here on the podcast and sharing that because, I don't go around telling people that I was insecure about posting on social media 2 years ago.
yeah. Well, and something that also struck a chord while you were saying that was me and Jake always say this phrase, like, "Your closest friends will never be your biggest fans." You think in your mind that they might, and, like, that it would make sense that they would. But there's this psychological thing that happens when someone really knows you that they most likely they disassociate from how, like, impactful what you're doing actually is because they know you. So, no, like, your art is not revolutionary to them because they see you making it in your living room. You know what I mean? Like, it's just different when someone knows you that personally. And so I share that with people sometimes because it's like you think that, like, your friends or your family, like, they'll support you, they'll believe in you, but they'll never be, like, your biggest fan, but they still should support you. But I think too, some people run into that where they think that, like, because their friends follow them, that they're gonna have the most support and, like, they're gonna engage with everything and they're gonna help them grow online. And I've actually seen people share on their private stories, like, "It hurts that, like, my friends don't engage a ton on my stuff." And I'm like, "You have to not care about it like that. Like, don't let it go that deep because at the end of the day, they love your stuff. They just know you." Like, it's just different. They're not gonna be your biggest fan, you know?
Yeah, and I think sometimes people don't even realize how much that engagement would mean to the person that's, like, pouring everything
Their
into
soul. Yeah.
their craft or, like, sharing something, because your content isn't that deep for other people. Nobody really understands how much you think about your own content when you're putting it out there, right?
So true.
So
So maybe this is your sign to go engage with one of your friends because it would mean a lot to them. Go do it if you're listening. And then the last update we haven't touched on, which I
hold
don't even know if
on,
it's
we
the
gotta talk
last
about
one.
trial reels real
That's what I was
quick.
gonna bring up.
Oh.
The last update that we haven't touched on, is trial reels, which I think that's the last update. Outside of the fact that now oh wait, also there was another update. The grid changing,
Yes,
we could
yes,
hit
I
on
have
that,
both of those, yeah.
and the fact that you can change the grid and stuff like that. But,
Yep, yep.
um, we'll talk about trial reels, and then we'll talk about the fact that the grid changed and that you can even go in and change the format of your images, which I think is cool. I'm not gonna do it, but it's an option. But anyways,
Well,
trial reels
we're
first.
talking about it now, so might
Okay, maybe
as
we do
well.
that then. We'll do
Do you know
that and
that
then trial reels.
so they're saying that what you can actually do is also move things around in your grid. So
But
for
that's
those
not a feature yet, right? That's to
um,
come?
I believe it's gonna get rolled out. Maybe some accounts are already seeing it, but it was promised by the CEO of Instagram this week on Sunday. So there, I even took a screenshot of it because this is going to be huge for the photographers that still get hung up on their feed looking a certain way.
True.
You're going to be able to go back into your feed and move the squares around. And I don't know if it's just like the top 12 that you'll be able to do that to or all of them, but I think there's going to be so much artists and creatives that are going to benefit from just having that control of like, let's swap these places or I released new presets. Let's put this at the very top. I know you can pin 3 things right now, but I think there's going to be so much more that's going to come with that.
Which I feel like that'll be strange because even when I click on people's feeds, sometimes it doesn't show up with the little pen when it is pinned, and I'm like, "Oh, is this what they look like?" And then I'm like, "Oh my god, this is from 2021." So, I'm like, the whole, like, reorganizing the feed might be kinda weird, because I feel like people wanna see I wanna see it from date released, but maybe we'll all get used to this curated move around feed, and I won't say that anymore, but I like being able to scroll through, like, it's like a blog, they're posting, like, it's like a timestamp, I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how people will adapt that because every time they release a feature, it kind of just takes on a life of its own depending on how people are using it. Because I think the way I see people using it is maybe just rearranging the top few posts to look
True.
aesthetically pleasing. I can't imagine people would go very far back and rearrange things, but I guess I never know. We'll have to
Who
see.
knows? But yeah, the feed is now vertical if you've updated your app. I did not have a vertical feed, and Angela was like, "Have you updated your app?" And I was like, "No." So, if you don't have one, update your app because I didn't have trial reels either, but I needed to update the app, and now I have it.
So
Um,
let's talk about changing the covers. So if
yeah,
you got your feed updated, which we heard mixed things from photographers. Some photographers were singing hallelujah. Actually, I got so overwhelmed with the amount of people that were sharing about their feed
I
that I had to
know.
turn off the app. I was like, why is every single person I follow talking about this? But people either hated it or loved it. Some people wanted the squares back, and then other people were like, this was needed to happen a long time ago. But if you don't like how a certain image is cropped within your preview when you're looking at your feed now, If you just tap on the 3 dots in the top right corner, or 3 lines, depending on your app, you're able to resize and move around the image with your fingers, like a
If you're
preview.
if you're watching on you oh, I have my thing on, like, blur, but if you're watching on YouTube, let me see if I can get this to focus. It's called Adjust Preview. It's, like, right over here towards the bottom. I don't know if I was even pointing at the bottom, but it's called Adjust Preview. You guys can go find it. Adjust Preview, you can click on it, and then you can either, like, fit it and it'll like change your horizontal image to like having a white border around it. You can even change the background of it. But at the end of the day, it still doesn't change the fact that I posted this thinking that it would be a square and it looked good as a square and it no longer looks good vertical. And it does not look good with a random white border. The white
Can
border
you
does not
zoom in
help.
though? Can you zoom in and, like,
No,
make an
it's
interesting
only like
crop?
fit or full screen.
I've seen other people be able to, like, zoom use your fingers, see if you can zoom
No,
in
no
on
can't,
the
can't
actual image.
can't zoom, but I can change the background from black or white.
Hmm.
So it
I won
just like either is this is it's either I'm trying to show the YouTube people. So if you're listening and you hear me stumbling, that's what's happening. You can click fit and it'll add like a white border or fill and it'll stretch it. Or you can do fit and change the background color. But I can't like
mm,
change the dimensions or anything. Hmm. But it would have looked better as a square. But I understand that that's also a horizontal image. Maybe we try it with something that's more like a square. Let's
yeah,
see.
because 'cause I've seen other creatives be able to tap. I haven't been able to adjust my covers. I'm still waiting for that to roll out on my end.
Adjust preview of a square. It would just add the white borders. Because now
I
I'm trying a
wonder
square dimension.
I wonder if it will continue to evolve as well, though. I wonder if we'll be able to go in and replace covers and do all the things.
Honestly, I actually think a vertical grid makes a lot of sense for photographers. People will be able to see a bigger version of our photos. But because grids were square for so long, we were all posting with compositions assuming it would be a square. And so, yeah, like my square Holga picture that was all perfect and cute and looked good on the feed, now it's like the feet are cut off a little bit. So I'm like, yeah, compositionally, I don't love how these look as much because they were posted with the intention of it being a square post. You know what I mean? For people who just posted vertical images and didn't love that it was a square anyways, is what it is. Or if you're like me and you shoot on medium format, um, and maybe you're shooting with like 645 or the Holgas, like whatever medium format camera you're shooting on. If you're shooting on one that takes more square images, like it's definitely unfortunate. You know what I mean? Like this is a square and it's a dope photo, and now it's like cut. It's just not as good.
Bummer.
So, not as good for us film photogs. But outside of that, if you were just a digital photographer, this probably worked in your advantage, you know?
Well, and I think it's more in line with, like, real covers too,
Mhm.
more
Yeah.
concise.
It
But let's
makes
talk
sense, but
t
yeah.
talk, trial reels. So,
Yes.
trial reels are test reels that you can put out to non-followers. So if you haven't updated your app, please update it, and then you should see a trial reel option when you go to post a reel. So when you go to post a reel that you've already made, you can either post it directly to your feed and to your followers or as a trial, and it will go out to the world of Instagram that are non-followers. And I'm actually curious to see some of your results, Summer, because I've been talking to a lot of photographers with this. And from what I hear is that the algorithm doesn't have enough information yet to know who to show your trial reel to, right? If you have an audience of 100,000 followers and they follow you for your photography content, and it's a very specific audience, and then you take that same reel and you just put it out into the world of everyone, it just might not land the same way. But no matter how many people see it, you can still get followers that way. You can still drive traffic. It's like additional way to get in front of people without posting it to your feed or seeing how it does on your feed or with people before sharing it to your feed. This is how you can do a little bit of like A/B testing with different like hooks or like new content that you want to experiment with. Um,
Yeah. So, I've only tested one reel, because I didn't know about this feature until like 3 days ago from Angela telling me. But I tested what she also mentioned back then was that some creators are taking their most popular reels, doing them as trial reels because it's guaranteed to only show it to people that don't follow you, and basically using that as a way to just like gain more traction, maybe more following, more engagement, whatever your goal is, more growth, because you already know that these reels perform well and that people like them because they've converted in the past. And now you're able to share them to only people that don't follow you. That is not why the feature was released, but
That is
it's
actually the opposite of
kind
what it's
of
supposed to do, but people are definitely, taking advantage of that way.
kind of genius. So I tested it in that sense. I put out a reel that I know does well, my little light blurry face photo. If anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, go to my pinned reels. It's the one with like 5 million views. It's in the top 3 pinned, and you can watch it. Anytime I had posted anything like that video or that video, say I had posted it again, they always did good. So I was like, well, a way for me to test this trial reel to see if it actually would give me accurate results of if it would perform well is to just post something that I know would perform well. You know what I mean? So I just stripped that same video. I downloaded it like no watermark, whatever, like with whatever, the internet things that like pop up with like ads, the free download things. And I stripped the video. I posted it as a trial reel. It is totally not accurate because this thing only has like
Mhm.
4,000 views. And every time I've shared it in the past, even if it was like another derivative of the original viral video, it always performed well. Like the minimum, maybe like 30,000 views, but the maximum, like multiple hundred thousands. The real video actually had 5.8 million. So I would say there's no way the trial reels is actually accurate because if I posted that today and I never posted it before, it would do at least decent. It wouldn't do 3,000 views. But even with the 4,000 views that it got in the trial section, I think we got probably at least like 10 followers and it has like 50 shares. And so there is like more like it is working in that sense of like that reel is still converting people even though it's not technically live on my profile. So if you follow me, you cannot see that I've done this. It is a way to post a reel that'll only go to people that don't follow you. So if you have old content that does well, you technically could put it up and see if it engages with any new audience. But as far as like does the trial actually work, I would say Instagram's algorithm ain't working because
Yet,
there's
I
no way this
think.
thing would have flopped. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I see what you're saying there, and I feel like this is the same conversation I keep having with other creatives, and I think that the feature is still so new, which it's just literally been rolled out to everyone, this past week, and before they were just testing it with different accounts, and I feel like any, because I don't know if you remember when they originally just released Reels, they were flopping too, people weren't getting any views on Reels as well, so I think like any new feature, there's not enough information for the algorithm to know what to do with it yet. And I think probably in 2025, we'll see a lot more focus, unless they completely take the feature away. They're like, okay, we can't figure this out. It's not working. I think if they leave it, there's going to be more and more data and more ways for Instagram to identify who to show it to, what type of audience you're trying to land this with, who would resonate with. And I think initially the response from all the creative creators was so positive that we want to test like, okay, how do we package a reel better, what's going to resonate and get more views. And so I would encourage you to start playing around with it, but don't get your hopes up that this is like, I'm going to
Yeah,
this
like
is
however that trial performs does not dictate how it would actually perform, in my
with your,
opinion.
yep, and I
Yeah.
think it's just like another opportunity to know that your content will be shown to people that are not following you, right? You're
I know.
guaranteed
I'm
that,
kinda like, "Let's post, like, 100 videos to this stupid thing." Like, let's do it. What
like, why
harm does
not?
it do? Yeah, I'm literally like,
Exactly.
"Why don't I just post, like, literally? Why don't I just strip everything I've ever shared and just reshare it all?" Honestly.
It's like sharing directly to the explore feed,
Yeah.
right?
No,
Because
literally.
exactly, because it's not going to people that are already committed followers. And, maybe you
It's like a free
create
ad.
basically,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think maybe, like, daily maybe I challenge myself for a week daily to share a trial reel, even if it's old content, and see what it does to my platform or growth, just
To
as, like, a
growth.
test to see what happens. because it's only getting shared to people that don't follow you.
But I feel like in addition to that, there has to be, like, nurturing content for people once they
There
follow
has to be
you.
stories, there has to be things that would make them wanna, like, convert over. Yeah.
Yeah, to get to know you, or, like, once they do follow, there has to be a way for them to
That's so
connect.
true.
Yeah.
Man. Well, now everyone listening is on the inside scoop of our, like, hacks and what we think is happening and all the updates. There's so many updates. I feel like social media this year is gonna change, and I don't know if we even fully know how. Like, I just feel like a lot's gonna change, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people that are taking it more seriously, and I also think that there's a way bigger need for content creators now. Like, every single business needs a content creator. Every event needs a content creator. If you are in high school and you're listening to this and you don't know what to do with your life, just learn how to edit videos,
So
learn how
true.
to, like, make quality iPhone videos. Everyone needs content creation. I'm looking for someone to join.
I would potentially hire a content creator.
Yeah, because everyone knows that, like, connecting with people on social media, like, you have to be on top of a business, also like a content creation machine that is consistently putting out content, and that's converting and talking to people and, like, filming yourself doing everyday stuff. And I was even thinking about, like, the content creators. You still have to, like, document that cozy environment and package it and put it on
Yeah.
social media and caption it and then respond to comments and connect with people. And if you think about it, like, I mean, I've got 3 kids. I homeschool the older 2, and I also have a baby. And so you're like, "When? When am I
Yeah.
supposed to do all of that, plus run social templates and then take care of my family?" And so
I actually think being casual is more work than being curated because being casual comes with a certain level of like finesse and coolness that your casualness is actually kind of cool and curated. Like, I think about like the 18-year-olds with their little like photo dumps that it's like a photo of a trash can, but like somehow the trash can looks really cool. And I'm like, how'd you do that? You know what I mean? There's like a certain level of finesse to casual creators that, in my opinion, is actually almost harder than being curated and, like, having a plan and, like, good photos.
I also, yeah, I think having curated content, you can batch better versus, like, having that
Casual.
casual and in the moment type of
Just your
content.
life is just that cool? Okay.
Yeah,
You
no, I'm
know?
like, you can't batch that. Let's just batch content of things that happen Monday through Wednesday right now, please. Like
Yeah.
like, I don't know. How do you batch that? Someone
I
tell
don't get it.
me.
I don't get it. You know what I mean, though? The, like, young kids where, like, they're doing the photo dumps and, like, the photo dumps are so cool, and you're like, "How did you even think to take a photo of that? Like, what is going on?"
Yeah.
You know? We think about that with the music industry with Jake 'cause a musician's feed, like, a lot of them are just this, like, weird, random, like, jumbled mess, but it, like that's what makes it cool.
Like, it's so
And it's like
artsy.
it's harder to be weird, in my opinion. Yeah. Oh, man. But me and Angela could go on tangents forever. Do you have any final thing you wanna leave us on that you think might happen with social media? Do you feel like we've hit it all? Are there any updates we forgot about?
Oh,
I
man.
don't
I
I
feel
don't
like
think so. I
I
hope
feel like
not.
we covered all the big ones. I
That's
feel
so true.
like there's, like, little
Oh,
things.
one thing you normally always say that I have been trying to implement because you say them is, look at me just singing your praises in this episode. Sometimes me and Angela fight. This time I'm just like singing her praises. Is to try and edit as much as you can inside of Instagram if you want to grow inside Instagram.
Oh,
So
I did think about this, yes.
yeah, I did my captions from my last video and it's not performing well, but I haven't posted in 2 months. But I did them inside Instagram. And I used to do them inside of a caption app because it works way better because Instagram never knows what I'm saying. And so I intentionally went and made it inside Instagram instead of in a separate app. And yeah, I'm gonna work on making my content inside Instagram and we're gonna see how it goes.
So yeah, to touch on that a little bit, you can edit your videos and cut them down in other apps. Usually that's not like a really big issue, but Instagram is very much focusing on SEO right now. They want to be a search engine. People are already using it to search for things. And so anytime you have captions that you have to add for you talking or voiceovers or even in your stories, you want to add them inside of Instagram. because that's how Instagram will know what the video is about. So when
Mm.
you bring it in with captions already added in, let's say, CapCut before it was banned, or Video Leap or somewhere else, it just does not resonate in the same way as SEO does. So, um, with those things, and sometimes what I will even do is if I don't have to have on-screen caption in a video, like if I don't actually want them, I will like make them really small and like put them off to the side so
Mm.
that Instagram still knows what you're saying. But sometimes like I don't know if you don't want them there. I guess most of the time people do want them in case
Yeah.
somebody's watching it without the audio, but that's just something that we've or I guess what else I've done before is if I bring in a video that has captions added somewhere else, I will leave them there, but then we'll generate Instagram captions and put them off to
And
the
just put them
side.
off screen. That's
Yeah.
genius.
So that's kind of like a little workaround.
Oh, I wanna ask final thought, your question on and I may have interrupted your ending thought, so let me know, but what is your thought on audios now? I feel like audios used to be pretty important, that they were, like, kinda semi in the beginning of trending, but not, like, too trending, but, like, they did I mean, my videos originally blew up because of audios. I'd be in the top of an audio anytime somehow my video made it in top of an audio, and everyone was scrolling the audio for inspiration because trends were more popular in the beginning era of Instagram. And now I feel like people aren't. It's not as much of a thing. What are your thoughts on audios now for 2025? Like,
So
are they that important?
they're not that important, and audio will not make or break your engagement like it did back in the day. However, this is again something that the CEO of Instagram was talking about just a couple weeks back is that trending audios help kind of like pair your content with
Ooh, like a
la-
type of
uh,
person.
yes. So like
Mm.
if you are someone that listens to a lot of like heavy metal type of music and that's like the type of audios you attach to your reels and it will kind of pair it to like whoever else is using those audios. So like it almost like started categorizing people on Instagram based on like the type of music that
Hmm.
they listen to or connect to. So a lot of people will see the same trending audios based on like similar creatives that like similar audios, if that makes sense. So that's the way he explained it. I still, for social templates, we still focus on releasing trending music that's under 10,000K uses to have all the most recent stuff. But again, a trending audio will not make or break your engagement. It's more about your on screen hook, either your text or a visual hook. So something to get people to stay, or like a captivating hook that will tell them what the reel is about, what they're watching. Sometimes with photographers, I see them like do a photo heavy reel or even have behind the scenes and then have photos, but it's not telling people why they're watching it. What is this? Even if it's something as simple like watch me shoot in high sun or watch results of this like high sun shoot or you want to give people some context to what they're watching so they have a reason to stay. And so
Hmm.
that's kind of more of like what you should prioritize is, the hook to get people to stay versus focusing so much on the audio. But
Hey,
trending audios are still important. So I would still try to use music that's currently trending.
yeah, it's like, why not? If it could help you, why not do it? Just add it on.
But also, like, if you're trying to connect with artsy couples that are into the same type of vibe, same type of music, then you would use that music and connect with like your content is likely to get shown to that type of audience versus if you're like a family photographer and has something that your content is paired with music that is maybe a little more like whimsical or I don't
Mm.
know, that will connect with maybe moms that have that as their like trending music. So that's how I understood it from the way he was explaining it. I don't know again if in 2-3 months it'll shift, but that's what he was saying. He
Man.
was saying they're using trending audios to group the content that's getting shown to people.
Well, you wanna know the negative side of the kind of music I listen to? Literally 90% of the music I listen to is French music. Do I know French? No. I only listen to French music. And so there's some French artists where I'm like, "Oh, this would be such a vibe behind this shoot," and even when I shoot, it's normally to French music. There's a reason for doing shoots to French music. Couples and models, I think, are way more relaxed because they're not distracted by the words because they don't understand what the song is saying. So, anyways, I literally, like, mostly only listen to French music, and I wanted to add this artist yesterday, and I was like, this it might not serve me well." And I chose not to, but I'm like, "Man, maybe I do it." But what am I gonna do? Attract people in Europe? I have no idea. You know what I mean?
That
Oh,
that'd be
man.
interesting where it lands. But again, with like all of your past content, you haven't necessarily used French music, right? I feel like you use all the trending music that
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
don't use
guess
the French music.
if the French music is not trending, then I probably wouldn't recommend using it.
None of the French artists I listen to are trending. The only, like, trending French music is, like, the lovey, like, I don't know, something you'd hear in, like, a French cafe. I'm listening to, like, I don't know, like, French pop music or something. It's, like, a really weird, like, synth way. I don't know, it's it's strange, but I'll have to send you a playlist. It's good. It's the only thing I listen to, basically.
Hey,
There's a
we listen
playlist on
to
repeat.
French music on Saturdays. That's like our
Hmm.
vibe in the house. We make pancakes and listen to French music.
You probably listen to Loving, like, would make sense with a couple shoot French music. Oh,
Both. My
man.
husband is into French pop music,
Oh,
so
fun, fun. Well, then
send that yep, send us your playlist.
I'll have to send it to you. Literally, Spotify made it, but it's all I really listen to, and I realize I've basically been listening to only French music for, like, a year and a half now,
Oh
and
my
I'm
gosh,
like, "Man, I
amazing.
don't even know what's trending in America these days. Like, what do I do?"
Well,
Oh,
thank God
man.
for the little trending arrows.
That's so true. That's a thing, in case people don't know, but I feel like people know about that at this point.
But also, if you updated your Instagram, they've released so, like, when you go to pick your music for your reel, they have a whole tab now that you can tap on, and it's all the trending music
Hmm.
that I guess is suggested specifically for you. So if depending on, like, which account you log into, because I have multiple
Mm.
logins, and we'll look at it from different accounts, and it'll always give us, like, different suggestions for trending
Yeah.
music. So there is that trending music curation that's suggested for each account.
The only reason I would start a personal account is because I scroll a lot of mom content on my reels, and so it pushes mom content to my reels. Therefore, I'm not seeing the, like, trending audios or, like, things that are happening in the photo space or the reels that are doing well in the photo space because I'm not seeing photo content anymore. That doesn't show me
Mm,
photographer content. It just shows me, like,
baby
mom
stuff.
hacks and, like, how to burp your baby, which is great because I've learned everything from Instagram University. But I'm like, that would be one of the only reason is just to have basically a spam account that I can just scroll, like, those kind of creators and see if I could get my algorithm back to, like, wedding photography or just any photography, just photography in general. Because it was so much easier to come up with ideas when I, like, knew when I was able to, like, engage with other people that were sharing what I was trying to share. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
I
that's just a
get that.
tangent. For everyone listening, now I'm just talking to Angela. Um, but it's been so good to have you on. I'll have to let you run. We both have kiddos, so we're gonna have to run and take care of those things. And Jake actually has a sound gig tonight, so he has, less than like 3 hours to get this thing turned around for everyone listening to it. So yeah, we'll have to head on. But Angela, it was so fun to have you on. In case you guys don't know, I don't know what my deal is. I know my code is summer in all caps. I think people get what, a free month of social
First month
templates?
free. Yep.
Yes. So if you're still listening at the end of this, which I hope you are, definitely go click over to social templates. It'll be in the description, in the show notes, wherever you're watching it. You'll be able to find a link and use the code summer in all caps, and you can test her templates for free for a whole month, which will make social media so much easier when you can literally just like pop your stuff into a template. Like, how dope.
And
But
on that note, I want to say we're not another app. So we're not another app you download. We're a community right inside of Instagram. So you just get private or you get access to a private account with all of the templates right inside of Instagram. You don't leave, you don't learn another app. So if you just lost all your drafts in CapCut, we sympathize. You can come hang out with us for a month for free.
yes. So good. So fun. So fun having you on, Angela. If anyone loved this episode, definitely go follow Angela. Go hit us up, ask us questions about socials. We're both always willing to answer. And yeah, leave a review or share this with a friend who maybe faced a little TikTok crisis or maybe needs to, reevaluate their social media or just wants to hear about some of these amazing updates that everything has been coming because even I didn't know that some of the updates were here until Angela told me to update my app. So, definitely update your app, follow us, and leave a review or share this with a friend who might need to know some of this info. It's been so good to have you on, Angela, and I can't wait to have you on again. If you didn't know, we already did an episode with her, like, I don't know, like 9 months ago. So go listen to that too while you're at it. And, yeah, thanks so much, Angela.
Thank you for having me. Till next time.
Awesome. Bye, guys.